Okay, guys. Hello. Welcome back to the Off Court Podcast. This is episode 2. If you're a first time viewer, welcome. We are Off Court, as we just mentioned, and we kind of cover all your paddle needs, and we'll be doing weekly episodes. So, stay tuned, subscribe, and make sure you keep up with our social posts and everything like that. If you are a second time viewer coming back on our second episode, thank you so much for the support. Really, we felt a lot of love on our initial launch. So, it gave us a lot of momentum and a lot of excitement. So really, that's all we can say. So we've got a great episode for you today. Really excited about the Milan P1. Kind of a tiresome tournament. But before we get into that, let's just have a little chit chat, catch up a little bit, and we can get right into it. So Hugh, how's everything? Tell us how's it going? How's your week been? Have you been playing paddle? Have you been watching paddle? What have you been up to?
I've been watching paddle. I haven't been playing paddle. The weather in the UK has been terrible, especially in London. We've had a storm, so it's indoor or nothing.
Yes, it's almost like this a finite amount of indoor courts here in London. So
and
it's super hard to get a booking.
Yeah, quite busy as well. So not been playing a lot of paddle, but watching, which is always great as well. Now that we've got this, it's even more exciting to watch the Premier Paddle Tour. But yeah, I'm good, and yeah, I just wanted to say as well, thank you from me, from the both of us, for your initial support. The first episode got like some really good feedback, and we see you guys engaging with our content and the shorts and commenting and starting little debates in the like paddle debates on the comment section, which is great.
Yeah, I think, we won't get too into it, but really that's one of the reasons why, we really wanted to do that. We just felt like there wasn't exactly like a platform where, people can discuss paddle, after they watch the games, or, if you've just gone and played your 60-minute or 90-minute slot, and we all kind of leave the court wanting to play a little bit more. So, hopefully we can quench your paddle thirst a little bit, and yeah, you guys can sort of get a little bit deeper into the world of paddle with us.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
So today we'll be talking about, we'll have our little icebreaker as always, our little starter for the podcast. We'll be talking about mentality and paddle. Connor's going to start us off with a little anecdote, a little experience of his he had recently, and then we'll dive straight into the highlights and lowlights of the Milano P1, the winners and losers of the tournament, which just finished yesterday with the finals, and we're going to get into that. So let's go straight into it. Connor, tell me about your what this anecdote you wanted to tell me was. Your the little paddle mentality experience you had recently.
Definitely. It's nothing too intense. I think it's something that it's kind of like a universal experience that, a lot of, amateurish players, a lot of people beginning playing paddle, kind of realize that, paddle is more than just sort of being able to return the ball, play all your shots. The mental game that goes inside your brain is actually a huge component, and it's actually these new sort of experiences that I'm having. I have like a little bit more than a casual relationship with paddle. Like I love to play it, I love to socialize.
You got a podcast, man. So like
we now have a podcast, and I honestly just kind of want to obviously grow with the podcast, but also just in my personal sort of relationship with paddle. Like it's honestly like amazing to win sometimes. I enjoy winning. I enjoy the challenge. And, I wanted to speak about a game that I just played yesterday where I just felt absolutely like dialed in, man. I was locked in, in my head. All I heard was...
That's so nice when that happens.
It felt great, it felt great. And, it really cheered me up because maybe about a week or two ago, physically I went on the court, but mentally my brain wasn't there. And, it's something that I kind of wanted to share a little bit because I felt so... a little disappointed, I knew that I could play better, and I think that's where the frustration grows really. And it's kind of like sort of managing your expectations and knowing every time you step on the paddle court, you're not, gonna be, on your top form all the time, right? And
happens to the best of them. Like look at Chingalan haven't been going through the best times, and they're like the top paddle players in the world. So yeah, it happens to the best of us, and it's because it's. Again, racket sports. There's something about racket sports and the way you score these sports that has so much to do with the mental aspect of it. And as you said, it's not just you can perform, because you might have done it in the past, and it's happened to me obviously countless times as well. But you just have to. It's really difficult, but you have to come to terms with the fact that you're not always going to play your best, and
Yeah.
you know, and there's good days and there's bad days, and it's incredibly frustrating. But you kind of have to just let it.
You breathe through it,
go,
and
you
yeah,
know?
I think that's kind of what I experienced for the first time, just feeling that like utter sort of frustration,
Yeah.
going like, why am I not, making the shots that I would normally make? Why
Yeah.
am I, letting, I'm getting aced on the serve, man. Come on, I'm
Come
I'm
on.
better than
Yeah.
that. And
And it's kind of like a hole.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh
because
my
like
God,
as soon
yes.
as you get into that, and that's the problem of it. It's
Dude.
like you whatever, you might you mess up a point, you don't do what you're supposed to do, you miss an easy shot, unforced error, whatever. And then that sort of fuels this little demon
Yeah.
inside your head, right? And
Exactly.
and if you can't get out of it, which is the difficult bit of it, then you just stay in that rut. You're stuck in it.
Exactly. So kind of like, I'm here to put that question to you guys as well. Is like, how do you deal with your frustrations? I think I
Yeah.
kind of had like a breakthrough, or I've just kind of understood that, how to handle those days where you're just not playing where at that level that you want to be playing at. And
what is it? What's the secret?
to keep playing, basically,
Okay.
because you're gonna have that shit game, but trust me, okay, you have 2-3 shit games, but really, it's that fourth one where you go, all right, now I'm back, I feel great, and it's all about sort of building that confidence and understanding, like, the ebbs and flows of how you perform, and I'm talking about myself, right, who's just, I'm playing at my local paddle clubs here in London, and I just, it kind of adds that extra excitement when, you take it a little bit more seriously than just, you getting together with your friends and playing paddle, which is also a great thing to do. You should also do that and have some fun moments.
I think the competitive aspect of paddle and jumping on Playtomic and worrying about your ranking, worrying about your competitiveness, I think that's like super healthy, and it's a sport, you can obviously, it's always fun and you always play for fun, and it's a hobby. So if you lose, you can get frustrated or whatever, but like it's never too deep,
Yes, exactly.
But I think it's super healthy and actually necessary.
Yeah.
It also, like, competitiveness just as a whole in life, without it getting like, toxic and just extreme, is always it's a healthy thing. It's a good thing, like, to be competitive, to put your body and your mind in those situations. It helps you grow, and it makes you stronger and builds you as a better person. I genuinely think that. And it translates, it can go from the paddle court to your professional life and your job, your personal life, your relationships. Like it's a good thing.
Yeah. See, there you go. So you play a little bit more, but also kind of understand your psyche on a competitive level. So it's one of those things that I see online all the time. People posting online about how they handle their frustrations, and you're not alone. We're all out there on our good days. We're out there on our bad days, and it's just kind of part of the game.
Actually, on that, that's the little like thing I wanted to tell you about. Don't quote me 100% on this. I'm pretty sure I heard it somewhere, but Roger Federer, the tennis legend, the GOAT, he had this, I'm pretty sure it was him, he had this rule. It's called the 15-second rule.
Right.
So when he found himself Wimbledon final, he's like, whatever, 2 sets down, still has like 2 hours or more to play, what he would do is he loses a point, 5 seconds to get angry at yourself and sort of lament on what just happened, 5 seconds to take a breather, let it go, sort of focus again, and 5 seconds to think about your next point.
Right.
So it's like a 15-second rule of like, okay, this has not gone well, get it out, compose yourself, forget it, and move forward,
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, I mean, we're talking about like probably one of the best athletes of all time.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's a cool.
We can all take a page out of Federer's book.
Yeah.
It's I also have that as well. It's like that goldfish mentality where you kind of just like forget the last point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget what side I'm serving on. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's just short-term memory.
That happens to all of us, man. Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of just wanted to share that with you guys, and it's something that you can relate to. If you guys have any special ways of coping with it, or
please let us know.
Please do. Yeah, we'd love to hear it. But let's move on into our main segment here, right?
Let's
Milan P1, guys.
The Milan P1.
Yeah. What did you think? Just general overview.
Interesting tournament, to be honest. Not like, well, I mean, we'll get into it further
Yeah, we're
down
going
the
to break it down
There's
for you guys.
in terms of actual, I guess, paddle,
Yeah.
if you just purely the game, not the most interesting or amazing tournament. Still good. Lots of things that we'll talk about. But I think there's more things that stand out from a player point of view, things that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, maybe we could all feel it a little bit, but definitely it's much slower courts out there.
Yeah.
Changing the kind of pace of the game.
Yeah.
Definitely I like the eye candy of the fast-paced shots, the intense rallies, and yeah, definitely Milan feels slow. I mean, that's kind of what it's known for as well,
and
right?
it forces players to have to think more.
Yeah.
It's more about placement. You can't risk so much with the overheads, with the smashes and kick smashes. You have to be more careful because the ball doesn't bounce as much. But yeah, what did you think of Milan?
Yeah, I mean, like the season's ending, but at this point I'm, more intrigued about the round 32 and 16 at this point. Watching those early games is probably a little bit more entertaining. I don't know if some of you guys have resorted to that because, it's always the usual suspects that make it to the quarter semis and finals, but that doesn't mean that in the men's,
women's,
yes, it's a little bit more competitive. But that was kind of my take as well. Obviously, we're at the point where all the players are absolutely exhausted. Even the top dogs, Koya and Tapia, we could see that, and we'll get into it in a bit. But yeah, it's the last tournament of the season before we head into the finals. So these guys have been playing together for over 24 or 5 tournaments now.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've kind of made it to the end of the calendar, and we're super excited for Barcelona's around the corner.
Man.
They've announced the top 8 from both men and women's, and we cannot wait, and we'll definitely be covering that.
Yes,
so yeah, before enough about Barcelona, let's get into our sort of highlights and lowlights of the Milan P1 tournament. Let's get into it, and I'll intro the first highlight, and it's a highlight, but it might feel a bit of a lowlight. We're saying goodbye to a padel legend. Bela is a fantastic player to watch. If you're a viewer to padel, we want to talk a little bit about his legacy. Maybe you watched a grown man be very emotional on court, which is kind of what we love to see. And if you're asking questions on what impacts he made to the sport and how he shaped padel as a sport and what he brought to it, and the experiences and memories that he created for a lot of the fans, I kind of wanted to ask you, who has a little bit more context on the padel over the years, basically, and what made Bela create a legacy and a name for himself. That when he left, we kind of lost a legend.
He's considered. It's Fernando Velasteguin, aka the Boss. That's his nickname. That's his nickname, the Boss.
I love that. Before that, he's definitely the boss. But we've all seen that Richard Mill on his wrist, which is about over 100,000 euros or something like that. So yeah,
he's been playing padel for a long time.
I think he definitely earns the title, the boss. Anyway, so yeah.
But he's the GOAT. He's like the. I can't compare it Argentinian as well, but like the Maradona.
Right.
The Messi's not retired yet, but if he'd been retired, he'd be the Messi,
playing in the MLS league is pretty much retirement.
He's the Pele, he's the Maradona of padel. And it's a low highlight or a high low light, however you prefer. But so he's been playing for a long time, many, many years. He holds the record for being number one, the most amount of weeks, 16 years.
Wow.
At number one.
No way.
Paddle player in the world. Yeah. Most World Paddle Tour titles. World Paddle Tour was the, for those that don't know, right now it's all Premier Paddle. Up until 2023, they had the WPT, World Paddle Tour, and the Premier Paddle. Then they merged both competitions into Premier Paddle. But up until 2 years ago, it was World Paddle Tour. So he holds 230 titles. He's made 286 finals, and he has 6 World Cups.
Yeah.
He made history as well by the longest lasting male paddle partnership, 13 years with Juan Martín Díaz.
right.
who was also a legend of the sport. They made history. He, I guess, reached his peak. Let's say this number one spot with Juan Martín Díaz alongside him. They won so many tournaments together, and he's just, yeah. I mean, a legend. You could see the whole paddle world sort of grieve for this loss, which is not a loss, it's just a retirement. But like you saw, they played Garrido Bergamini in the quarterfinals against Belasteguin and Tino Libac. Belasteguin and Libac lost, but you could see, I mean, Garrido in the post-match interview was in tears saying goodbye to Bela, because these, like, Bela's he's like probably like 40 something.
Yes, he's definitely he's on the older side of things.
Like all these younger players, the Tapias, the Coellos, the Garridos, etc., they all grew up watching Bela. They all wanted to be him. When he was already playing, they were little kids, sort of with a dream. Bela was their reference. So it's been super emotional, and also something that's, I think, very important, and that's something so admirable of Belasteguin is he's always championed the young talents. He's played with Coello. He's played with Tapia. He even played with Yanguas for a little bit. And now he's playing with Libac.
Yeah.
He, like, look at Coello and Tapia now.
Exactly.
He's got a good eye for talent, and he's always championed these younger players and sort of grew with them. His, I guess, top, the best thing about him as a player is the way he reads the game with his experience. His lobs are chef's kiss. Yeah. So good. But yeah. And I mean, I don't know what you think. I just want to say something else on this, like a little anecdote that I found. But yeah, what do you make
definitely.
of this retirement? And
gosh, just kind of seeing the emotion in his face kind of struck a chord with me a little bit. I don't know whether it's when moments like this happen in sports, even outside of paddle, but it's always a reminder of the emotion that these players have and the connection and the fact that they've devoted pretty much most of their life to this game, right? And, look where paddle is now. And, you've seen it grow in the past 5 years. Idiots making podcasts about paddle and stuff like that. It's great to see that he fostered all of these sort of partnerships with some of the biggest names in paddle now. I kind of, no pressure on Libac, but if he's got that type of eye, we'd love to see where Libac is in a few years time, right?
Player,
it's just a great moment. That's why we put it in our highlights pretty much, just because it felt like something important that we should talk about. I also thought it was slightly humorous when he did his farewell speech that the song that they brought him out to was the Dune soundtrack. It was for like this, you know what I mean?
They love the shout out Premier Paddle DJ.
Yes.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, that made me chuckle a little bit, but then obviously it got a bit emotional, and he got a nice little 3 paddle tribute from Wilson. Obviously that's what he played with, and it was just a nice moment, and I thought
an example to follow on and off the court. And also there was this really, like, I guess, cute and interesting anecdote about he had an injury where he didn't know if he could ever play again a few years ago.
Right.
He was waiting on the results from the doctors, and he's got 3 kids. One of his daughters made him a little drawing that he keeps with him and that he brought out when he retired as well. From years ago.
God.
That said,
it's so nice.
Yeah. That said, when he didn't know if he was ever going to play again, and the drawing said something that apparently he says to his kids. It's like a little motto: "Un Belasteguin nunca se rinde," which means a Belasteguin never gives up.
Oh my God! Wow.
And that was his sort of like, that's his. That's gladiator, tombstone kind of thing, which I think is so sweet and so inspiring as well. But that's just a little little anecdote.
That's incredibly sweet. The fact that these players pretty much spend most of the year flying around the world and playing paddle, we kind of forget that they have families back home. Tapia was also super emotional at the end of the finals, and he mentioned that he was really grateful that his family could travel with him. And I think this is a great point to move on to the next one because it's kind of tied into family, right? But, last week in our episode on the Mexico Major, we kind of covered a little bit on Paquito dropping out, right? And we were kind of curious to what these personal reasons were.
Yeah.
And we had some idea that the conditions of the weather were super tough
Because they forfeited.
they forfeited,
we
but
thought that maybe
it was actually an incredibly sweet moment that he came out and made a little statement that actually his mother passed away, and the tournament that he's playing in Milan, he's not wearing his name on his jersey, he's wearing his mother's name. And
which is such a nice
we all have our mothers, right? And we have our love for our mums, but like it's an incredibly sweet moment, and I think it's just a reminder that it's that these guys and athletes just outside of paddle, they're all human, and they have these like levels of emotions that they go through the grief, right? But they have to go step into a stadium that's broadcasted around the world, and it's incredibly tough. People have to go through that in their own lives, right? But let alone
you step into an office after, if your mother's passed away, it's still incredibly difficult, and hard. But I guess having to show up with cameras pointed at your face and having to perform, having an expectation, being in the public eye, I guess is they're incredibly privileged people and athletes, and they're so lucky to be where they are. But it's hard to have to stay at that especially if you're Paquito, one of the top players, to have to, I guess, come out of that and have to sort of, I guess, maybe you're forced to heal quicker. I don't know. But it was nice to nice to see.
We won't. There's not too much to talk about on this, but I just felt like
it's something we should talk about.
It's one of those it's a highlight for us, but obviously it's a sad moment, and you can see him sort of persevere, and
our condolences to Paquito and his family as well.
So now we kind of move on to our highlight number 3, which is it feels a little bit more of a highlight. We just have to get we cover all your paddle needs, as we say. So we cover everything. So
and this is a Connor dominated
I think
field. So tell me about Ustero and Alonso and what they've achieved in this specific tournament, and what an exciting pair they are.
We don't know, their future as a pairing, right? They're still very young, but they've quickly grown on me so much, and it's fantastic seeing such young players with like tactical maturity, be able to handle some of the best players on the circuit, right? Ustero and Alonso, they started the year, ranked, I've got the notes here, 32nd and 39th on their official ranking, right? And, before I tell you, you can take a guess yourself what their current ranking is now. But in one season, they've already made it to 15th and 16th on the ranking. Individually, which is just like, you can tell how much of a monstrous sort of season they've had, and they've made an absolute name for themselves. And I don't know if you guys remember when you're 17, 18, 19, but you're a kid, right? And for them to handle the amount of pressure, the lifestyle, it's just incredible to see them sort of move with such grace and make it to the Barcelona finals, right?
Incredible.
They had to grind out the last few tournaments. Towards the end of the year, I think there was a bit of pressure that got put on them, and
there was the breaking point where if it was they had Icardo, so if they went through and Icardo went through as well, they needed Icardo to lose, because otherwise she would have taken at least Alejandra Alonso's spot.
Yes,
but they made it through. Triay Fernandez beat Icardo, and so and she secured, they both secured number 8 seeded pair.
I will. Please forgive me if I'm super wrong, but I did remember hearing that little headline and it was kind of a little bit of contention that if Icardo got the game, it would have blocked Ustero and Alonso playing. But I did a little bit of research on my own.
Okay.
And I believe that even before the game, Icardo and Jensen played together, Ustero and Alonso were already through to the finals. And I'm pretty sure outside of not outside of Premier Padel, but Ustero or Alonso had to play some extra tournaments to get extra points under their belt.
She needed the FIP. She needed to get 250 points.
And, we already mentioned numerous times already on how exhausting these players are at the end of the calendar, and to go the extra mile to make sure she secured that point. And I believe that it was completely regardless if Icardo won that game or not. And they got in on their own will and their hard work and determination. So
didn't they made history in the Dubai
P1,
didn't they?
It's also a great stat. This kind of like secures their their sort of momentum of the
What
year.
did they
Really,
achieve?
they were the youngest players in paddle history to make
Oh.
the final. Right,
True.
which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
you
yeah,
know
which is crazy.
insane,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah, yeah.
insane, and it's absolutely scary because you get to see them go up against the bosses
Yeah.
or the queens of paddle, right? Like
Triais, the
Triai,
Sanchez,
Fernandez,
Jose Marias. Yeah.
exactly, and yeah, they're just a powerhouse, and it's if you guys haven't got your eye on them already, I'm super excited to see.
Big
Yeah.
future ahead. I mean, the going from 32nd and 39th at the beginning of 2024 to making it to the Barcelona finals is huge.
Yeah.
It's a huge achievement. So congrats to them. Incredible season, and I can't wait to see what they do in the future because they're so young and they've got so much talent.
Dude,
so
yeah.
I think they'll be snapped up quickly.
Plus,
if they don't stay together, they might,
Estera's already giving me those like scary tingles of like she's just this like AI robot that can like return anything as well. She's
just got a lot of power as well. She's got a lot of she likes the smash, which is not something we see in women's paddle a lot, but she's got quite a bit of power on her as well. So yeah, man, super exciting.
Should we touch a little bit on their loss though in the Milan, or is that coming up later in our notes a little bit?
I think they lost against Gonzalez and Delphi.
Yeah, which is it's a little bit of a low light for them, but we as we mentioned, they're going to the Barca final, so that's a great moment. But I wouldn't mind talking a little bit about their game and sort of like it really feels that Delphi and Gonzalez are such a tough opponent for them, right?
Yeah.
They've this was their fourth game playing together, or fifth. Correct me if I'm wrong. And they've lost all four games to.
Can't blame them though.
To Delphi and Gonzalez.
It's the number 3 pair in the world.
Yeah.
And they've got more experience. They are older, and they're the what's the word? Like they're executioners.
Yeah.
Like they never. It might be something, but I wouldn't be surprised if in 2025 something like that, if they play again, that they could beat them. They just need a bit more experience and a bit more training. But I think they will manage to beat them at some point.
Yeah, I'll be honest, they got smoked. They did. They had a really tough game.
Yeah.
And, whether it's a rivalry that will continue into next season, I have no idea.
It will be.
Some small rumors. I know the commentator mentioned that, Delphi's expressed, the desire to sort of play with Triai, which would be such a deadly pairing. I don't know what that means for Fernandez, who's one of my favorite players. If anyone knows out there, let us know in the comments. But yeah, it's
that would be an absolute powerhouse.
That's actually what I'm excited for. This sort of quiet period over the break. I feel like that's the moment where players will be shuffling around.
The pot's boiling, Connor.
Yeah,
the pot
so
is boiling.
you guys stay tuned. You might hear from us, and we might have our own little episode on the silly season, I guess, if you want to call it that, and
our predictions.
And our predictions.
Well, that would actually be a super fun.
That would be super fun.
We should definitely do that.
Comment down below if you want to see that, guys. Okay, great. Let's get into some of the semifinals, right?
Oh yeah.
Specifically, let's talk about Chingalan, LeBron, Dineno, right?
Yeah, I think that was the semi that really that was the most entertaining, the one that we can talk about the most.
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching it. I thought it was a good semifinal, not as good as the Mexico Major one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely, and there's a lot of things that I picked on, and yeah, a lot of things to talk about. So
is one of those LeBron not smashing the whole game, because that kind of
not a single smash in the first set, not a single smash in the first set. And I think they saw LeBron and Dineno saw themselves completely overpowered by Chingalan, especially in the first set. But I think overall, I'm happy to see Chingalan, especially Galan, coming back strong this Milan P1 with I saw him, especially in the semis, I saw him in his prime. Smash winners, 20 out of 29, which is a massive stat. 30 winners compared to, the forehand players, Dineno and Chingotto had, I think, 8 each, which is normal, but he did double than LeBron with only 16. And I think where he's most strong, he's got an amazing smash, Galan, as we all know, but I think probably his best strength is his volley. and
Right.
and how he is at the net. And in semis, I saw him blocking so many víboras, just going to the net, applying that pressure, and it felt like he was everywhere. I felt like he was like multiplying. There was like several. He activated some sort of like unagi mode or something, and he was like, defying space time continuum, just like he was getting everywhere, physically super strong, and his level paddle was incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I think kind of towards when we kind of knew the direction of the game that it was going in. I kind of got that excitement in my stomach again because I was just like, okay, they're looking good. They're looking good. They're probably going to play Koya and Tapia in the finals,
Again.
And, if they could go in with that brute force, that's super exciting. But yeah, Galan, this tournament, in general, man, he was
Coming from like where he was coming from, where mentally and physically, he seemed drained.
Yeah. Definitely. I think we mentioned it in the last episode, but yeah, we can read the emotions of the player's face a little bit, right? And it's obviously our own speculation, but definitely early on in the second set, the frustration got to Galan a little bit, but they kind of powered through.
And he's a player that he's talked about it before, like a few months ago when I guess Chingalan started to have a bit of their like this downfall.
Yeah.
He expressed his emotions, and he was like, I feel a lot of pressure about being number one, which is normal, and it gives him anxiety to be put in that position and have to think about that, which is, I mean, totally fair and understandable, but players do go through that. And I think Galan was, in the last few months, we've seen him suffer that way. But this tournament, I was so happy to see him come back. I thought in the semis as well, it was a bit poor from LeBron and Dineno, to be honest. I felt like, first of all, a lack of confidence.
Right.
It felt like they were defending most of the game, which is not something you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see them on the offensive side much. Not one smash from LeBron in the first set.
Let's kind of get into that a little bit, right? Because that's it seems like in I say modern paddle, but really the smash is such an important piece of the game, right? And when you see a player that's almost like known for his smash not smashing, you kind of ask yourself why. Is it a mental game that he's playing? Is he trying to not be predictable? Are the as we mentioned, the courts are very slow? Does that mean are the fears that if he does go for the smash, which we kind of did see, because we said he didn't smash, but he did two or three, right?
Six out of 13 attempts, which statistically it's like lower than 50% effectiveness, but he did try all of them. I'm pretty sure all of them in the second set.
Yeah.
First set didn't even try.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you said, I think it's first of all courts, and second, confidence, which kind of go together. I got this lack of confidence feeling from both of them. To be fair, Chingalan were lobbing them really well. They were lobbing him. They were lobbing LeBron in a way so that he couldn't smash too much. Very deep, very deep, sort of profound back of the court.
Trying to put them in difficult situations, right? So,
and the thing is, like, LeBron's overhead game isn't, without a smash, in my personal opinion, isn't that great. His bandejas and víboras aren't very effective. They feel like quite soft and slow.
Yeah.
So if you take the smash away from him,
I was going to ask you this question. Would you say like I think it's not hard to tell, but I'm asking you if LeBron's play style is generally more aggressive, right?
Yeah.
And what happens when an aggressive player starts playing defensive? Is he not playing his strong card? Is he trying to play a different strategy that he's probably not too familiar playing with in high intensity situations?
And I think yes. So yeah, lack of confidence, slow court. So I feel like he didn't want to risk it as much.
Yeah.
And also what you just said now is an aggressive player who usually they play on the left.
Mm-hmm.
They play on the backhand side. And LeBron's playing with Dineno, who is an incredible player. With Chingato probably top two forehand defensive players on the tour right now. But he's super defensive. He's a very defensive player. Your job is supposed to be, you're the aggressive one, So when we see him being less aggressive than usual, then you've got you lose sort of like a one part of the formula of the pair,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you see them struggle. So yeah, and I guess as I said, 16 winners compared to 30 from Galan. They felt a bit looser on the second set in these semifinals, but a few critical, so annoying to see, a few critical unforced errors at the like mid end of second set brought them down again, even after breaking serve, because they did break Chingalan, in the
Yes,
second set, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, I also would love to get a little bit of praise to Chingotto, who had some crazy placement shots during that game, and even if it was him pushing the ball over the net, and I think I forgot what point it was, but it was just like great to see him be a I don't want to swear, but like be a absolute difficult player to play against, and play those really annoying shots that you really don't want to have to return.
Actually, now that you say that, it's funny because we got some comments in the last sort of on the TikToks and stuff.
On our TikToks.
We kind of it was, I guess, my mistake. Kind of forgot to mention Chingotto in as probably more than Stupa, even though Stupa is insane, as the quickest player on the tour. He gets to every single ball. You see him sprint out of the court sometimes to get the salida. Insane.
Yeah.
Crazy, fast. An agile player. So
if we ruffled your feathers on TikTok about not mentioning Chingotto when we spoke about the fastest players on the court,
let me correct that mistake, because you're absolutely right.
He's
even though
Stupa
is not a slow per se, he's also super quick. But Chingotto probably the quickest player on the tour.
I don't know if I just have like the mentality of a 14-year-old, but now I just want to see all of the paddle players do like 100-meter sprints and see who's the fastest. I don't know.
You know what? That actually pretty entertaining. Maybe we can make like a little AI kind of software algorithm where we race them against each other.
I don't know who wants to see that, but I'd definitely watch it. So look, before we get into the finals, we have our lowlights, obviously.
Yes.
And Hugh, if you want to take us away with that.
I wanted to ask you about it, because
definitely. We mentioned we had our high lowlights earlier, but these generally are lowlights.
Super low lowlights for the paddle fans out there, for players and for us as well, because we've seen, unfortunately, 4 injuries picked up during the Milan P1. Connor's going to break them down now.
Four injuries, and they're all going to be playing in the Barcelona
all
final.
From the top 8 top 8 pairs, male and female. What happened?
Let's run it through. So first off, we have John Sands. Right, super awkward injury. He kind of got caught up against the mesh of the court, right, and you can kind of see his ankle buckle, and no one likes to see a bad injury like that. It's definitely, especially when the finals are around the corner, man. Like it's totally not okay, So look, it's obviously recent. We're recording this on a Monday, and it happened, a couple days, 2 days ago. We've been keeping close tabs, but
do we know any updates?
So he's kind of measuring the severity of his injury at the moment. I think he's going through rigorous sort of examinations to make sure that he's able to compete, and these guys are professional athletes, and I'm sure they have great medical attention. But at this moment in time, which is kind of similar to the other injuries that happen, it's too soon to tell. Right now, we kind of just have to bite our nails a little bit and just see what happens, and hope that in about 2 weeks' time they'll be fit and ready to go for the finals. But we'll see there, and kind of our next injury from.
So we've got John Sands.
Yeah, we've got John Sands,
and then
Stupa also picked up an injury, which he kind of expressed a little bit more frustration.
Yeah, that one was quite interesting.
Yeah,
right?
It wasn't like he rolled his ankle, or he hit his arm on the mesh or something like that. I think he was he was running out the court.
He was going for a salida.
Yeah, exactly, and he ran into the umpire chair. Right, which
right triceps, I believe. Yeah, he hit it.
And it's a weird one, I guess. It's something that you don't really see happen too much. But it's kind of these things now where we go like, okay, maybe we should like.
It makes sense. Well, I mean, he did his Instagram post, right?
Yeah, we'll put his Instagram post up now.
We'll do a little screenshot. But what he expressed, like, frustration, right?
Multiple frustrations. First of all, he was upset that he had to retire from the tournament in that way. He expressed that there should be some more priorities for the health and safety of the players on the circuit, because at the end of the day, they're the ones making the entertainment. They're traveling around the world. They're making paddle what paddle is, and constantly pushing the boundaries of it.
And it's kind of common sense, no, to at least put, because he crashed against the umpire chair. Players are coming in and out, like it could happen at any moment. So just put a few like soft whatever safety things on the structure of the chair, right? I don't know why they haven't thought of that before.
You'd think they would have that covered, but hopefully they learn from this. Let's see if they maybe the umpire chair in the 2025 season is going to be made out of
like
foam.
I
don't know, but look, one of their top players is clearly distressed and sort of upset, and there's got to be some sort of repercussions to a player getting injured like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He also expressed some frustration on the.
Yeah, I don't know if he was just kind of caught in a moment and
just like I'll just slip that
typing his Instagram caption, but there was some complications with some fans not getting let in because they put a capacity limit on the 5,000 capacity stadium in Milan.
Yeah.
And no one likes to hear that. And as a player, you want to know that your fans are getting in and they can watch you, especially if they bought tickets. He dropped that in there. And he also mentioned that he wanted to feel a little bit more love from
a little
Premier
bit of
Paddle,
love and care from the FIP, from the federation.
Yeah, it's not the first time he's
Paddle.
expressed that as well. So definitely he feels like there's a bit of neglect going on, and he had his moment. And to go back to his injury, we've been keeping very close eyes on their socials to see if there's any updates. And he's also similar to Sans, waiting to see the severity of it, giving it a bit of time, consulting some doctors and stuff like that. I went on his Instagram today and he posted a picture of his cat on his story. By the way, big cat energy, Stupa. He's got big cat energy.
Really?
Yeah, to me, you know what I mean? Like,
really?
Yeah. I don't know if anyone else can relate to that, but when I saw that, I was like, oh, totally makes sense.
Makes sense.
Big cat guy. But yeah, we kind of have to wait and also bite our nails for that. And if we go on to our last injury, it's almost like a double injury if you think about it. Okay, look, it was Delphi and Gonzalez, Bea. I always mess up their names.
It is confusing.
Hit me with it.
Delfina Brea.
Yes.
And Beatriz Gonzalez, which is shortened to Bea.
Exactly. Bea.
So it's Delphi's surname Brea and Gonzalez's first name Bea. So you're just like Delphi and Gonzalez is like good.
That's why I've got Hugh here, because he's like the resident Spanish guy that I know. So you can correct me on the names. And in the first set of the finals, we see Delphi sort of roll her ankle a little bit, 5 minutes of medical attention. They went on to win that set against Triay and Fernandez.
Huge set, 7-5.
Huge comeback, which
7-6.
was, it went to tiebreak, I'm pretty sure.
It did, 7-6. Yeah.
And, what a comeback, right? They spent 5 minutes, taping her ankle up, and you go, okay, here we go. And they kind of clutched the first set a little bit. And unfortunately, we saw a retirement in the second set.
Yeah.
And that's from Gonzalez, right?
Yeah, when they were 5-2 down, so to Triay and Fernandez, they were probably going to secure that second set, and it was going to go to a third, which would have been like
a great
amazing
final
and super exciting. But 5-2, so they were changing sides, and in the little break, Bea Gonzalez expressed that every time she went for Víbora, every time she was doing the overhead, the Víbora, that she felt pain, which I'm assuming we haven't seen any Instagram posts because we've been trying to keep. No. I think they're maybe still like digesting it.
It happened last night.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. True. But I have a feeling that it's her pectoral back in. What was it? Not the last major, which was Mexico.
It was Paris, right? She wasn't playing, right?
She wasn't playing.
Delphi was playing with Estero,
and that was because of an injury she's had multiple times now. I think it's her pectoral muscle, like a tearing there or some sort of injury there.
Yeah.
And every time she was going for the Víbora at the end of the second set, she said she was feeling pain. She went out with the physio to do some checks and then came back and they were like...
Yeah, I mean, being a doubles partner and having your partner kind of drop out mid-season's already, a sad thing to see, a little bit frustrating, and you could definitely see the frustration and sort of upset in Delphi's face as well.
She was in shambles.
It's not a great moment, and look, she's going to the Barcelona finals as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's going to be interesting. Definitely,
Yeah.
it adds an extra element of excitement. I guess it is excitement. It happens.
It was
Injuries
sad
happen.
to see though. It was really sad to see Delphi, who's such an amazing player, see
Yeah,
her so frustrated because she's been through this a lot,
yeah,
especially this season. Like Gonzalez unfortunately has been injured, and they've had to like separate a few times because of that, and she's had to play with other athletes. So yeah, it must be hard to
definitely.
to have to deal with that,
And yeah,
and yeah, maybe it's informative of why they're separating
yeah,
for the
exactly.
2025 season.
Yeah,
You know,
who knows? But
will we see Delphi Triai?
I would love to see that.
That
That
would
would
be
be a great
incredible.
pairing.
That's
Honestly, such a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
powerhouse. Those were our lowlights,
Yeah.
and super sad to see. But it's all part of the game. Injuries happen.
We'll see what
and
happens in the
Yeah,
Barcelona
I mean,
finals.
pressure makes diamonds. Who knows? The comebacks could be crazy
Yeah.
in the finals. We don't know. But yeah, let's move on to the finals here, and let's talk a little bit about how that played out. We kind of made a little joke earlier. You might as well be watching the early elimination rounds if you want a little bit more excitement from
Yeah.
Premier Padel. If you're big Koya Tapia fans or Chingalan fans, you can eat your heart out because it was another Chingalan Koya Tapia final.
Which is good because they've
Yeah.
Chingalan finally coming back after 2 tournaments not being in the finals, losing against Stupa and Yanguas. They finally made it through, and they faced their biggest rivals once again, the Golden Boys, Koyo Tapia, who are just. I mean, I guess every podcast we're gonna have to say it, right? Who are
Yeah.
just like, I don't know if they're like. I think they've got some like chip behind their like head or something. They're like activated into. They're super soldiers.
Well, yeah, we always say they are super soldiers, and they have the the new iOS 18 update in their brain or something
Yeah.
like that, and but what kind of struck a chord differently with me this tournament is that okay, you can kind of see the levels of exhaustion sort of take place.
Yeah.
I feel like even at the end of the Mexico majors, I could see like Tapia was just like dead
Yeah.
by that point, right? And to come back to the Milan P1, go and play some tough games. I mean, that Paquito game that they played against was super tough. It
Super tough.
it completely drained them actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of my sort of take on the finals here is that I feel like Tapia and Coelho, especially Tapia, were almost surprised and shocked a little bit that they were able to sort of claim the game that easily because it felt
Yeah.
like Galan was on fire a little bit,
He
right?
he was on good form. I think I mean we'll get into it now. Like what were the most important moments? What gave them the win? But yeah, they do. I mean they're just unstoppable though. Coelho and Tapia, even though they are exhausted, and you could see at the end how much it meant for Tapia. He was in tears after that win, and
Yeah, super emotional.
super emotional, which is normal as well.
Can I just say, like, it's incredible to see like a pairing like being so dominant and having, how many wins have they had this year?
So yeah,
or
so
in a
this
row.
is
Like,
this
hit
is
us with a
this
stat.
is their
like,
9th tournament in a row.
yeah,
So right now against the number 2 seeds, Chingalan, they are 10-5, 10 for Coelho and Tapia in terms
Yeah.
of tournaments, and 45 games in a row that they won.
exactly.
Insane.
And I think it's genuinely great sportsmanship and a great, you can kind of see a little bit inside Tapia's heart a little bit, and it's probably the same for Coelho. But to be that dominant, to get that many wins, it's a P1 tournament, and to see that level of emotion sort of like overcome him, I think that's an incredibly, great player right there. And,
Yeah.
he can, his heart's, he's kind of chasing that
As we
that
said.
thing that he probably got into him originally when he started playing, let alone being ranked number 1 in the world. And I think that's a great thing, and that kind of gives me a new level of appreciation for both Koei and Tapia, that they're able to be that grateful to win. There's so many other sports that there's dominant teams, players, individuals, and they'll
They
go
get
on,
hate.
they'll get hate for
Yeah.
it, but it's almost like when they win, it's kind of like, okay, let's get out of here.
Impossible to. I mean, there's such great athletes and examples on and off the court. You know, it's impossible to hate them. But yeah, I mean, it's to get into it. I thought the first set was pretty equal, 6-4 to Coelho and Tapia. Very equal in terms of winners and unforced errors.
Yeah.
But it was breaking the serve that really made the difference. Yeah, that was, and it's that thing of like that's what they gave in the 6-4.
Yeah.
We've said it in our first episode. We'll say it again in paddle. It's such a big thing to the breaking serve is a really big thing, and it can give you that extra tiny bit of advantage. And Coelho and Tapia are so good at doing that, and at not getting their serve broken, but also at breaking their opponent's serve, and getting more into the second set, which was a more exciting.
Yeah, that's where all the eye candy was for me.
So Coelho and Tapia saved the 3-1, and I guess what I wanted to get into is why. What's the reason? Why are the Golden Boys so good?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the sort of, and this is not going to be anything transgressive, anything new. It's probably pretty obvious, but I think it's something we should talk about.
Please tell us. Spill the juice. Like what is the secret?
They have massive net pressure.
Right.
They've got so much slice and power at the net. They give so much slice, like right at the edge of the back wall. So they they're burying these balls, giving their opponents like little time to react and having to get really low to come back, and then they could just come back with
pop it
and dunk it on you.
One of my favorite shots to see, by the way.
Yeah. Then they broke the serve 3-2 after saving the 3-1. They went 2-2. Then they went up, breaking Chingalan 3-2. And what they do is they are really, really good at gaining position. What I mean by that is, if you don't know, over 80% of points in paddle are won at the net.
Yep.
You're fighting for that position. That's like one of the sort of, I guess, foundations.
It's a fundamental of paddle. You
of
play
paddle
for the net.
Play for the net, gain position. Coelho was like volleying from like half the court, right? So you've got Chingalan, when it was their turn to pressure and they were attacking.
Yeah.
Coelho's like just sort of volleying just behind the service line on his side, because they're just eager to just push again and to push them back. And then they've got the advantage that they're playing against Chingoto, who is an easier player to lob, and he doesn't have a great smash. Super poisonous and crazy vibora that he has, but it's easier to lob him. So they were lobbing him on the volley, gaining that net position, and then just dominating. They are the best at this new wave of paddle, right? Coelho and Tapia. This new wave of paddle, we see it with like the up and comers, the Augsburgers, other like massive players. Paddle is now played in a super aggressive style, right? Which is about winners. It's about both players being very aggressive, and they are the best at doing that. Why?
Yes, good question.
Because, again, obvious, but usually you have two right-handed players,
right?
Generally speaking. You've got Koki and John Santh, who are an example of where John Santh is left-handed. Once you have a left-handed player in a pair, they have to go on the forehand.
Yeah, of course.
Why? Because then you have two dominant hands covering most of the court, right? Mm-hmm. It would make no sense to put a left-handed player on the left unless he was playing with another left-handed player, which has never happened, right? So with Coelho and Tapia, you've got Coelho on the forehand, left-handed, Tapia on the left side of the court on the backhand, right-handed. So it's like you just double your aggression, because you've got Tapia, who's an incredible smash, kick smash, everything, but then you've also got Coelho, who can also do that, and he's not like a defensive player like Chingoto, who it's that combination of or Dineno LeBron, where it's like two, and whoever plays on the forehand, two right-handed players, is more defensive. Coelho has that advantage of being left-handed.
Yeah.
So when you're lobbing, you lob Tapia, you're done. Don't lob him, basically. And if you try and lob Coelho, apart from his like massive skill, talent, stature, strength, you have to either lob him really deep into his side, into his corner,
which has to be like a perfect calculated lob,
or
right?
if you lob him sort of down the middle, maybe Tapia will get there and just jump smash. Or Coelho can do that as well, because he's got the left hand, So if you're on the right hand, you know, smashing with your right hand, if you're right-handed, that spin doesn't translate, right?
Right.
Because you're spinning the opposite side. With Coelho, because he's hitting it like that and spinning it that way, it's the perfect angle to sort of kick smash it off the court, you know? So you've got
Yes.
two diagonals where Tapia can go like this, boom, boom, and Coelho can go like this. And that's very difficult to achieve if Coelho was right-handed.
Right. So that's kind of like the next level strategy, right? You're going to see players, you know, with play on the left that are sort of left hand dominated, and players on the right also that are right hand dominated,
Yeah.
right? Just so that they can pretty much, you know, have their, you know, they can cover the center of the court, they can cover the lanes down the side, and probably play most of their shot on their preferred sort of service arm. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. Like they've another thing they do so well is they just cover angles. You've got Coelho's 3-meter wingspan.
Yeah,
He's
like
everywhere.
a condor
and
falcon.
then you've got Tapia's just the Mozart. You know, he's got the magic wrist where he can just like, and it's just that's why they're so good. But I just wanted to like touch
definitely.
upon that so that I guess us and everyone can sort of understand what the advantage of playing with a left-handed player, two super aggressive players that are like perfect for this new wave, this new style of playing paddle, you know, and why they're so dominant. You know?
And we've kind of cracked the code now. So if any if
And
any
like,
of you
yeah,
are watching are
like-
playing in Premier Paddle, you know,
Yeah,
you know how to
exactly.
take them on a little bit.
Yeah.
But if anyone else has some like sort of introspective you know, thoughts on, you know, why Coelho and Tapia are so dominant, right? You know, please leave them below. Let us know what you think as well, if there's, or if you agree with us, right? Or if you don't, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I don't know, just going back to the final, I don't know if you, like what you thought. I thought Chingo was maybe slacking a little bit. It wasn't his
He
best.
was. You,
it wasn't
you
his
saw a little
best
bit on online.
performance.
People were fucking, you know, shitting on him a little bit, which, you know, I don't think is fair. But, you know, people are also saying that, you know, it's the moment that Chingotto is kind of isn't on his A game. You know, he kind of lets down Galan. It doesn't matter what level Galan's playing at. It's kind of like game over already if he's having a hard time.
Chingotto is the mentality of the team.
Exactly.
If Chingotto goes down, then because Galan, as we said in the first episode, he's prone to sort of switching off mentally, and Chingotto is always the one that's like, come on, let's go, keep up. You
So
know?
it's kind of this sort of like knock-on effect that happens, right?
Yeah.
Mentally, you know, going back to our, you know, the beginning of our segment here, talking about the mentality of paddle. You know, this is kind of where it plays out really in these like high-stakes games, right? And yeah, that was kind of the, you know, a tough moment for Chingalan, but
he was accepting it though. There was a moment when they were also like switching sides that Chingotto was like, I have to give you more. I know I'm not doing my best and I'll give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm aware that I have to do more. And then actually they got that kind of breath of fresh air when they broke back Coelho and they broke Coelho and Tapia's serve with the 4-4 in the second set. And just got some stats here. 3 break points from Coelho and Tapia. 1 on the first set, which gave them that extra edge for the 6-4. And then set 2, they got 2 break points. They won both of them. Well, they got more, but they broke the serve twice.
Yeah.
Also, at the end when it was like 5-5, and they just got, you know.
I'm just looking at the match summary stats now. You know, when you watch that game, it's like it felt, you know, obviously it's competitive, right? It felt close, but goddamn, I'm looking at these numbers now.
Yeah.
We'll put them up as well. It's clear as day, really. Like they dominated, right?
Yeah. I
you
mean,
know,
look, it's 39 smashes to 22.
Yeah, I feel the frustration that probably a minute amount that you know, Chingalan are feeling, really, because what the hell can you do? You know, like they, you know, we already mentioned they're exhausted, they're tired. You know, I wouldn't even say that Coelho or Tapia, or maybe more so Tapia, they weren't even playing their best. I don't think they weren't playing their best, and they still won. Look at the stats, guys.
Yeah.
Like it's absolutely
crazy.
terrifying.
They
honestly.
even did like, I mean, it's 37 unforced errors for Coelho Tapia.
Yeah.
29 for Chingalan. They did do 10 more winners, 40-30.
Yeah.
But you know, it wasn't like
you take, if you have 40 winners, you do the 37-9 unforced errors, because look at the other, look at the Chingalan there. Like what can you do?
It's crazy.
It's insane.
And I mean, and just as actually this last note I have was also in the by the end of the second set, Tapia was like blocking Galan's smash at the back of the court. There was 2 or 3 smashes that good smashes from Galan that Tapia was just, again, because he's Messi.
Yeah.
That he was just like blocking them at the
That
back
is,
of the court.
that's when they kind of just hold their racket up,
yeah,
right?
they just like hope for the best,
and they somehow calculate the trajectory of the ball to bounce off the
they
back.
just go like
and
that. Yeah.
that's also another great move, and
Which
it's something
is-
that I dream of doing. But that's the finals.
Congratulations to Coelho and Tapia once again.
Can I just say we're 2 episodes in and we're like, Coelho and Tapia won again. Thank you very much for what
but it's still exciting, and we can still break down.
Yeah.
We can still break down games and see. And again, as we've explained today, from our humble opinion, like why we think Coelho and Tapia are as good as they are, and what sort of advantage they have over the rest. Also incredibly hard workers, and they train like crazy. Even they were apologizing to their families after I don't know if you saw it, after the summer break.
No.
Why
what
apologizing? Because they were like, during this break, all we've done is train. And that's why they came back so strong.
I see.
And they just got that upper hand over Chingalan because they were just training so hard.
Oh my God.
So props to them.
Yeah.
Nice to see Chingalan, also. I think they played really good. I think they played really good paddle.
Just not good enough. Which is it's a tough part of the sport. But guys, that's kind of our sort of outlook on the Milan P1. Please, we've mentioned numerous times. Please let us know your thoughts. The amount of conversations that you guys are having on our socials.
It's what we want.
Are great. So if you agree with us, you disagree with us, you think we're chatting shit, that's fine. Just let us know, and please, you're gonna find someone out there.
We're also learning. We're also on a journey. We also want to learn.
Yeah.
So if anyone has like insights and stuff, like absolutely, please let us know, because we want to get better as well, right?
Exactly. So thanks so much again, guys, for tuning into another episode. Really, it's such a privilege to come and talk about paddle, and feel like there's a few of you out there, and we said our thanks already, but if you're one of the lovely people that left a especially nice comment on some of our social posts, really thank you again, and thank you for staying to the end of the episode. If you're listening to this,
the whole thing,
we're testing you. But Hugh, why didn't you send us away? There's a few standard things we have to say at the end of our episodes, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, that's all for today. Thanks for joining us. Let us know in the comments, your thoughts on what we've touched on today. Any other content you'd like to see, we'd love to hear from you guys as well.
Yeah.
Please follow us on socials, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. We're
dude, shout out TikTok, dude. Honestly, out of everything, really, we felt a lot of love from the TikTok.
Yeah.
You guys really engaged so well with our first few videos, right? So
and it's working well for us. So we're gonna keep pushing content on these social media platforms.
We're gonna be filling up your For You page there, and you're gonna might get sick of us hearing our voices, but hopefully we bring you guys some inside scoops on paddle and why Coelho and Tapia are the best. But again, thank you so much, guys, and
don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated on all our content and get notified when we release episodes. And thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.
All right, take care, guys. Thank you very much.